Hello.
Good evening.
Good day. Good night. Good morning. Good morrow.
Good morrow. I mean, we are confusing you by having a Halloween themed broadcast from the global headquarters and bunker upstairs, overground bunker of Bamford.
Yes, the best place to be. I don't think we could find any place better.
No, certainly not.
With the man himself.
With the man himself, Sir George Bamford.
Yes, here we are.
Oh wow, I've been given a title. Wow.
I've given him a knighthood.
Thank you, Nick.
We got Snoopy.
I've got a Coca-Cola on the table.
And we're unsponsored by Coca-Cola, so they could well,
yes.
If Coca-Cola is watching this and wants to sponsor a
Yes.
particularly politically incorrect.
I think you're more of a Coke Zero guy, though, aren't you?
Yes, I mean that's much more of the sort of thing. Anyway, note the seasonally correct Fallon cigar holder in terms of colour, and we have the Quai d'Orsay.
Yes, we have the Quai d'Orsay Senadores, the 2019 limited edition, which is an Hermoso
Number two
size.
48 ring gauge.
48.
It's basically a Churchill, right?
Something or other. George, do you want one?
George, do you want it?
I would love to have a taste. So
Yeah,
try.
Indulge.
Yeah,
Indulge.
go on.
I don't have any equipment, by the way.
Quai d'Orsay is an interesting brand for me in that it's one of these ones that was made up after the Revolution. I believe it was, obviously as the name suggests, made for the French tobacco monopoly,
Yes.
because the French tobacco monopoly was based on the Quai d'Orsay, Sater I think it's called. That was
There
the
you
early 70s.
Which one is that for?
When you have, because you've got three there, but I'll have one off camera.
Okay, well,
Very good.
I'll have one off camera. It's all about.
Well,
me,
you're on
why,
camera,
why,
you're on camera.
why do you?
Well, this is to make it look like I know what I'm doing.
Oh,
Okay,
no,
Matt.
this is
you better have,
see if
you
it's
want
not
that
too
one?
tight or
How's
too
that
loose.
one? Is that good?
Probably is fine. Looks like it's made of tobacco, which is the most important
Okay,
thing.
good. I'll set
but
fire
the
to this one.
feeling
The
of
feeling, the feeling. You don't want you want a little bit of sponginess. You don't want too much sponginess that you kind of leave an indentation when you push it, but you don't want it to be too firm that there's no sponginess at all. So you don't want it too tight or too loose. You want it perfect.
You want it perfect,
And,
as
which you can't really find from Cuba.
Well, you can't. Perfection is very much in pursuit rather than in
Or
realization.
in the eye of the beholder.
In the eye of the pursuer, shall we say.
Yes, of course.
and straight cut versus V.
Well, I
What's
know
your-
that V has come back into fashion, but I'm an older gentleman.
I like these
less
questions.
of a gentleman, I
I'm
suppose.
sorry to
No,
all.
no, no, it's
it's
good.
just like
We've
I'm
never-
learning from you guys.
No, we've never mentioned this stuff before. It's something actually because usually we repeat ourselves every time.
Yeah, I
we
know,
go.
I know. It would hate to disappoint the viewer by actually having something new and different.
Yeah,
on
no,
the
sorry.
broadcast.
No, the V cut is good. It's meant to kind of widen the surface area. You'll get an easier draw. But I've never smoked a cigar with a V cut
Oh really?
or a punch cut. I've only ever done a straight cut.
But that's because we live in a very traditional household.
Yes, usually.
So you've been dragged up in the right way.
Yeah, I used to go as a savage. Used to bite it with my teeth. And now I'm using a cutter. Is it good? Tastes nice, unlit.
Actually, oddly enough.
Oh, the sound. That was quite impressive.
Sound. First impressions, kind of toasted, nutty, bready, like a great bakery in France. Like what do they call it? A patisserie or something, or a.
Wow.
What do they bake bread in France? That's not a patisserie, isn't it?
On
That's
every street corner.
on every street corner.
Growing garlic in the gutters.
And wearing berets and singing.
Yeah, striped tops and
Ooh la la.
all this jazz. But you're very kind to have us, George, and we must open the window. Yeah, look at this.
I've got
Well,
to
look at the fire alarm. There's a fire alarm here. Sprinklers are going to start going.
No, they're not. Don't be ridiculous.
Well, I hope not.
But anyway, back to the Quai d'Orsay. What do you think? Kind of, sort of. I like to think in terms of as we're approaching Bonfire Night, the festival that has since been overtaken by that of All Hallows Eve.
Light, sweet, grassy.
Light, sweet, grassy. Not so light, I say. Medium.
Would you?
Yeah, biscuity. You went away very briefly there to open a window and.
Yeah.
And I had a rest after lighting the cigar and a little lie down.
Yeah. I have noticed spice,
Not much.
but not on the tip of the tongue this time.
No. It's more like a cardamom or something like that.
Yes. Yes, and you may have noticed also our tattoos, our transfers.
Oh yes.
I have 2 bolts in the middle of my head.
I have a small bat, or fledermaus, or chauve-souris, as we say in French. Maybe chauve-souris is better, if that is indeed the correct term. For this animal.
Kind of fitting for the time we're in as well. The bat.
Yes, the time of the bat.
Yeah. So.
Oh. And then look, there's the Dracula Club ashtray. I mean, we are fully accessorized, but this is a cigar, I believe, blended in the French taste.
Yes, there was very popular with the Coronas Claro.
Yeah,
which
70s one.
It was a great cigar. I mean, I think they're still produced until this day, aren't they? Just not for the English market.
Not with the there's only like 2 Vitolas or something out there. I mean,
there's more now. They've got the Quai 54 and the 50 and the Coronas Claro and all this stuff. And I was thinking, George, the 54 is the one that you might enjoy because it's got a nice hefty gauge. It's a larger cigar but in a lighter body. And it's very swanky with the bands as well, nice gold shiny bands. And
you're basically saying I want to show off.
Well, I like gold shiny bands.
I like
Everyone likes gold shiny bands.
Everyone likes a gold shiny band. I'm like a sort of magpie with a sort of compulsive attraction to
I love
shiny stuff.
The number 54 looks great. I mean, this looks very nice as well. I like the gold.
This looks very nice, and this is almost the sort of cigar when I was starting out smoking cigars would be regarded as a very large cigar. Now it's sort of something one polishes off before getting out of bed in the morning, you know. I mean, it's a sort of, especially if it's a light. Maybe President Macron himself was smoking one of these before he declared a full lockdown.
Yes,
maybe he was fortifying himself for that great moment when he shared with the French population.
Well, building up his kind of nicotine levels inside his body to become immune from the.
Well, there is that. Maybe they should prescribe. Maybe these are being prescribed.
Yes, by French doctors to the public. Well, wasn't there a run on nicotine patches or something? Because everyone was like, we best defend ourselves against the virus with nicotine. But this is the much more stylish.
Apparently, in the 17th century, when they were sort of really getting the hang of this stuff, people would used to be called drinking the smoke, spelled SMOAKE or something like that. And it was supposed to be very good for the respiratory tract. Drinking the smoke.
It is.
So is that passive smoking? A bit like
just
sitting here. Okay,
I think I'm benefiting in order. How is the aroma, George?
It's absolutely amazing. Now, I've got another question for you.
Tell me.
France, large country.
No. Well, I'm wondering where. No.
Cuba
versus anywhere else on cigars, because you said at the beginning that about perfection and where perfection comes from and. Why is that you don't think perfection comes out of Cuba, but we have this massive love affair with Cuba?
Well, I mean, the Cuban tobacco is considered the best, and tobacco grown in other parts of the world often boast having grown the leaf from the Cuban seed, even though it's in a different country. So it's kind of, what is it? It's definitely got a long history behind it. As Alberto liked to say, in 1492, Christopher Columbus discovered the Taino Indians smoking the cohiba or the cohoba.
The cohiba, the behique.
The behique, yes, exactly. And just a really unique flavour. However, quality control has definitely gone downhill in the last few years.
Well, let's not be so harch. I mean,
no.
The quality and consistency that is perhaps
part of the fun, really.
Yes, it's part of the character, shall we say?
But with the New World tobaccos, especially the Davidoff, they're very precise.
Amazing, and I mean also the level of flavour profiles they can achieve. They are brilliantly scientific.
Yes, and they're also, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it goes from the Dominican Republic to the warehouse in Switzerland or Geneva or something, and they're weighed once they leave the Dominican Republic and once they get there, and I think they're sent back and reboxed if they're the wrong weight or something, as they say.
No, I mean, I'm sure it's a combination of ingenuity and Swiss precision. But there are also other New World cigars as well. Padron, for example.
Alto de Fuente.
Yeah, I mean,
even our dear Regis, the British.
Yeah, I mean, all of those. I mean, and there is, I think, less in the way of, what should we say, overfilling, underfilling in the non-Cubans. I find, in my experience.
Have you smoked many non-Cubans before? Or are you just a Cuban guy, or?
Well, I've been instructed by Nick, so
and
by
Cuban.
you as well.
Yeah.
No, I've tried a few.
You do have the best collection, George.
Well,
You've got some amazing stuff.
But I've literally been directed by you guys, and so yes, I've Cuban probably.
Yeah.
Davidoff, of course. I've had one or two, and I think they're absolutely amazingly. They're very perfect.
Yes.
They are, and you know,
almost too perfect.
No. But we had. Do you remember we had those old ones, those old Millennium blends, which were delicious.
And an old short perfecto as well.
Yeah, I mean, outstanding.
Delicious.
I mean,
anything old is
anything
good.
old is interesting, but these were delicious. And Fabien had some old double R's.
And the 3000 as well, the Davidoff 3000. I had a few of those from 2008. They were delicious. Very, very nice.
I mean, I remember picking those ahead of the Cubans in the old days because my taste was for lighter cigars, and also you never had a problem. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you're starting out. I mean, Freddie, as we know, has this 1960s motor scooter. The part of the fun is it not starting, and you know, and he could have a sort of modern Honda that would start.
Which he has got at the moment, and he finds it dreadful.
I know.
It's very disappointed by it.
So you've got to look at it. Well, I mean, you haven't got to look at it in any way at all, really.
No.
But I mean, you can look at it like that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say part of the fun of picking a Cuban cigar is picking them yourself and finding a nice example and patting yourself on the back and saying, you know, I picked a good one. I mean, a lot of the time it's just luck. I mean, a lot of people, they kind of pick up the cigars and they listen to the cigar. I don't know what it's saying to them. Probably like, pick me, or something like that.
Or in this choisir-moi.
Yeah, choisir-moi, yes, exactly. Or Viva Cuba Libre or something like that.
No, I think this one's definitely speaking French.
Yeah. But yeah.
And what do you think about regional editions? What's your and where? And also the other thing is UK is probably one of the best places to buy cigars. Where else would you say? Is it? So I've got two questions.
Yes.
One of them is regional editions, and then the other place is where would you say?
Well, when we visit Spain, so the regional editions. Let's start with the regional editions. I think they're always. I mean, they're always interesting because mainly they're from brands that aren't the main brands. They're never from things like Romeo and Julieta or Monte Cristo or Cohiba. They're from slightly smaller, lesser known brands, and also in sizes that haven't been produced in that production before, produced in that line before. It's always very interesting. And
sometimes also very good.
Yeah, and produced in limited quantities, and the older ones are obviously...
Paul Larrañaga Magnifico, Paul Larrañaga Sobresalientes.
The Choix de l'Époque, El Rey del Mundo, that's a delicious cigar.
That's a delicious
2009.
Cigar. And what were the Phoenicia ones?
Phoenicios. Oh, they're from... Well, that's a different country.
The Lebanon one.
Lebanon. Yes, Lebanon is meant to be good for regional editions as well.
They're the best. I mean,
There's
one
a bunch
of
of
the
Lebanese...
best. One of the best.
But what I like to do is when we go to Spain... I mean, I like to go around all the estancos there and see if they've got any old stuff. I mean, the only place, it's weird because it's very humid in the south of Spain where we go, and the only place you'll find dry cigars seems to be in the cigar shops. You keep them at home and they'll be perfect outside of the shop, but they're only dry inside the shop. But unfortunately, my dear friend Oscar Udeshi will have cleaned out all the cigars I wanted to get.
Yes, Oscar Udeshi, the cigar sleuth. He really cleans everything out.
He's got a bunch of Torreon for you.
Has he?
Yeah.
How much are they?
I don't know how much.
Oh, it's very expensive business. But these are good. These are good. This is a nice cigar. George, I think you'll like this one.
We'll leave
you know, it is pleasant. It's pleasant.
Yeah, it's not terribly strong, at least not now.
No, but it's got a bit of floral stuff going on. It's got a bit of interest. And it's well made.
It's well made.
Nice size. I like this kind of size.
I don't like this kind of size.
No, why not? Too big?
You know me, I like a kind of 30 ring gauge or 28. And this,
Yeah,
I mean,
28
this is a 48. And
Rey del Mundo, Rafael Gonzalez.
Rafael Gonzalez.
What was the Slenderella?
Punch Ninfast.
The Punch Ninfast.
The Ninfast. That's a very slender cigar, very long and slender. And
Rey del Mundo Elegante was the 28 ring gauge one.
Elegante.
And on those long, slim ones, do they take a long time to smoke?
You should really smoke them more slowly,
because otherwise the heat just concentrates on one part of the tongue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here you've got,
here these are sort of idiot
stay
proof,
cool.
aren't they?
Yeah.
The fatter cigar. I mean, you can set fire to it and puff away without. I mean, you
Yeah.
know. Whereas there is an art to smoking a slender cigar, and also an art to rolling one.
Oh yeah, the older ones you can find boxes that are completely plugged.
Yeah, unsmokable. It's like having a pencil.
Yeah, it's like smoking a chopstick. You know, doesn't work. You know,
It seems now to bring in, not that we're sponsored by Omega, but I've got the new Ed White.
The egg white.
The Ed White, not the flat white, not the egg white, the Ed White.
Mm.
And this is beautiful watch. You know,
Stunning watch.
Tell me about the movement, George, the 321. That was the movement that was in the discontinued in the 1970s, used in the 60s. It was the one that went into space, I think, and got the... It's a column wheel chrono, as you know. And
we're looking just as bemused.
it was the one that went into space, and the shape, the case design is modelled on the first one in space on the wrist of Ed White. Is that right, Max?
Egg white.
Ed White.
Flat white.
Anyway,
The
Max,
bracelet's stunning.
the bracelet, the flat bracelet. It's just a flat link bracelet.
Ah, it's a
so
flat
flat,
white.
flat Ed White.
And the bezel, the bezel round it, not bezel, but the.
Well, I
tachometer
think,
looks beautiful.
I think it was again the boast of the Omega Speedmaster was that it was the first chronograph to have an external calibrated tachometer on the bezel.
It's absolutely.
Nice movement, look, isn't it? Isn't it pretty?
It's fabulous.
They've done a nice job, and you can see the column wheel there and everything. It's a great watch.
But when you came in, I tried to steal it off your wrist, so
You did.
I absolutely loved it.
You did, and I mean, I must say, it's they've lent it to me for a few days, and
Wow.
doubtless in the hope that the viewer of Foulkes and Sons will immediately place an order with his watch merchant, or maybe in the cigar shop.
I
Maybe
like
they-
your one, George, because it's actually white.
It's white.
It's
It's kind of. This is the Ed White, and that's
that's
the
the
white
pure
white.
The
That's
pure,
the pure
white. And I've got the replica Parmigiani Fleurier,
God,
which-
that is a replica.
which steams up in the rain.
Replica. I think the word fake probably.
Well, it's not a
speaks
fake watch because it's definitely there.
of- Yeah,
But yeah, it's.
it shouldn't be there.
yeah.
Honestly, it's embarrassing for me that you're wearing that. Kind
You're
of
the one
thing.
that bought the bloody thing.
I didn't buy it. I bought it by accident.
Exactly. That doesn't.
I
bode-
didn't
that
buy.
doesn't
I
bode
didn't
well.
buy. I know.
That doesn't bode. Buying fakes by accident. Great.
Well, I mean,
well done.
well, whatever.
Well,
I think-
someone duped you out of
No, I
50
bought it.
quid
I
there.
bought it to take it off the market so that it wouldn't fall into unscrupulous hands.
Oh, 50 quid. Really good price for a Parmigiani.
No,
For
don't
a
be.
Parmesan.
But
cheese.
Parmigiani is a very don't be ridiculous. There was that I asked for the one with the steam on the inside, especially for you. That's a complication. The steam.
Oh, and the faux leather strap started kind of unsticking itself, so I super glued it back together.
That is faux leather. That is actually from a fake cow.
It's great, and the clasp is like a bit wonky.
The clasp is from fake metal.
Yeah, it's good. That, you know what? It actually keeps time, which is the most important thing.
Well, anyway, I'm settling for the Ed White or the white white.
You've got the pure white.
I've got the pure
And
white.
you've got the totally fake non-white watch.
It's got white on it though. It does have white on it. So.
Anyway.
Tell me, okay, getting back to cigars, when you're looking at the ash on it, because Nick, you've always told me about different ashes and you can stand it up on its ash.
Yes.
Now we talk about that. It's
There you go.
perfect.
It's forward now.
That was
time.
on point on that.
Yeah.
But what do you look for on the burn and you know, because these look very symmetrical.
Yes.
Does that mean that it's
You look for symmetry. You look for evenness of color. You look for. I mean, what destroys it is when you have canoeing. When you have basically you have a period.
Tunneling
You
or
have an
something.
area of underfilling, so you will get almost like a tear burning down the side here. So it'll burn more rapidly here. So an evenly formed ash means it's a well-rolled cigar.
Yes.
What you don't have so much here is
The pyramid.
the pyramid of slow-burning ligero leaf in the center. This is more secco and velado, so it'll be a more
We probably just haven't reached the ligero yet. Maybe it's further
hiding
down
down the
cigar.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's kind of scurrying
Yeah.
away towards the end of the cigar as we speak.
And the ligero is the leaf that will give you the power and
the glory.
the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Blah blah blah.
God, you're bringing everything into it now.
Yeah.
Religion, the lot. I think we might have to edit some of this.
But yeah, no, I like. I tend to like a kind of a finer ash, quite a snowy ash. I'm not really sure if you can tell. I think it tends to be the older cigars have the whiter, smoother ash, while the younger ones. Is that right? With age, did the ash get whiter? I've noticed that.
I don't know. We could say so, and I'm sure that the viewer will challenge us if it's untrue. I mean, I was under the impression that the ash changed color on the basis of the nutrients in the soil.
Yeah, you get that with the Davidoffs. I think there's a higher level of something or other, so the ash is quite white.
Which I quite like.
Yeah.
And knowing Davidoff, they would probably be able to tell you if you could select the color of ash preferred, and they would be able then to sort of guide you towards
on their
the path.
website or something.
On their, I think it'd be, but that's the properness of it all.
Yeah, this is a very nice cigar. It's very smooth. It's not young. I don't. Have you? No.
God no. I mean, I must say I wouldn't normally look at a Quai d'Orsay, and I review it in the Senadores. It could have at least had it in French rather than Spanish. You know.
I mean, I've had a few Quai d'Orsays. I like the Clara, the Corona's Clara. I have had the number 50, and I thought that was dreadfully boring, very dull cigar. But this is very nice actually. I've yet to have this 54, which we've just got in the shop, viewer, in case you needed any. Very reasonably priced, but this, yeah.
By the way, George, do you want to promote any merchandise while we're here?
Do I want to promote
Merchandise, maybe
no,
the Bamford Concorde.
Well, that's a little spiky. No,
they're available mail order.
Spiky,
it's a little bit spiky.
No, they're available. The former Tag Heuer box clock thing here. It's all here. Snoopy.
You've got such good trinketry everywhere.
I love collecting.
Snoopy Hutches up there, kennels or whatever they're called.
You've got everything. It's
I mean, there is
a selection
the
of
Casio
helmets.
G-Shock, the G-Shock. I never had a G-Shock. I was far too old and I didn't understand it at the time. But it makes sense to people in their late 30s, doesn't it?
Yes. It does. Actually, I love it. So
yeah. I mean, no. Of course you love it, and it sold out before it was launched.
No,
it sold out in 3 seconds before in the 3 seconds before it was actually officially launched.
3 minutes, but anyway.
3 minutes after it was launched. I'm just building it up. No. I mean, there was only how many did you make?
I don't know actually because I'm still waiting for G-Shock to say how many, but I know it was quite a lot. So
great.
It was very good that it sold out. When you were talking about cigars, and why I keep on asking back to this, because you two have been my teachers on this kind of wonderful, weird journey of cigars.
Yeah.
Torpedo versus now, because you were talking about rolling, and you talked about a very thin one is harder to roll. Is torpedoes harder to roll than regular?
Hardest.
Well, the hardest is I think the double figurado, which is pointed at both ends, not just the top.
Like a Salamonis.
But yeah, so it's kind of like yeah.
And would that be the best of the best? Like if you're smoking that would be the best of the best.
Usually you get the higher grade rollers or torcedores to roll those shapes. So in theory, those will be the best rolled.
The ones that I used to have from Taboada at the La Corona factory. Do you remember those? Those unbanded
massive ones, like big
Salamonis. Yeah. Partagas do Salamonis, don't they?
So Quaba do.
Quaba do an entire brand. I mean, there's one of the great unsung. I mean, they make one of the most. They make a brand that's only made of the complicated shape to make, and then they keep it like kind of almost secret.
Yes, it's great.
You like Quaba, don't you?
I do like Quaba, and also back to your question, George. I find that if it's tapered at the end, if it's a torpedo, you can have quite a large gauge and still clench it comfortably in your jaw, because obviously it tapers in at the end. So you won't be walking around with your mouth wide open. You can actually, you know.
Yes, I find some of the parejos with the big ring gauge.
Like 54, 56. It's just
54 for me is the upper end. 56 is already getting a bit. I mean, it's just
that's. I mean, you know me. I like a 28.
Yeah.
I like a tiny, like almost a cigarette or something.
Spindly.
You know? Yeah, that's what I like.
It's an anorexic cigar.
Yeah, exactly. But,
good. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we could
pause. We could have a break.
Should we pause, Freddie?
And we can report back on how the cigar continues.
Excellent. Okay. Good. Notice we're wearing both of us checked Prince of Wales suits.
Indeed. You're only got wearing brown in town, though. You're wearing brown in town.
I wanted to do this sort of, this Halloween type theme with a bit of orange for like pumpkin colour,
I see, yeah. That's very clever, actually.
I thought it was. I was quite impressed.
Hallows Eve.
Oh yes.
When's Halloween? Is it today? Is it today? Or was it yesterday?
Yesterday. I mean, it's actually in the future when we're filming this, but it's in the past when this is being broadcast.
I see. Yes.
So it's almost like a form of time travel.
Yes. Very good. Yeah. Well, what was it? I was going to say something. Oh yes, the cigar hasn't really developed, has it, in flavour terribly?
No. No.
And I haven't got any kind of.
And it's sort of inverting now. And
Yeah.
It's sort of. There's a sort of, instead of a steeple of ash, there's a declivity.
Yeah, it's quite. Mine's gone out as well.
It's almost like it's two cigars. The first bit was like, whoa, we got something really encouraging here.
Yeah. It's not bad. I mean, if you like a lighter cigar, it's definitely much more approachable than the limited editions from the same year, the Ramon Ionis No. 2 and the Monte Cristo Supremos. The Ramon
Monte Supremos, nice cigar.
Yeah.
This is
it's
actually
a good cigar, but it's not to my taste.
No, this is good. This is blended to the French taste.
Yeah, and we like
The
French taste.
boulangerie is, or the patisserie, or the. We need some viennoiserie maybe with this. Some.
Yeah, or you know. Well, I mean, it's not really blended to the French taste, because surely the French taste is strong, like Gauloise and Gitan.
No, but it's maybe delicate, like maybe those. What's that sweet bread they like so much, brioche or something? You know, it's kind of more like a brioche than a sort of Gauloise.
It is very sweet and very smooth.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's like comparing a brioche with a Gauloise is a bit like comparing a house with a flower. Do you know what I mean? It's not exactly like for like.
no, not exactly. But it's not bad, and it's definitely ready.
I think it's better than not bad. I think it's actually worth getting and smoking.
It's ready to smoke straight away.
Yeah.
More so than the Ramon Ionis, I think, is. That could still do
The Ramon Ionis could do with a little bit of calming down.
A little bit of calming down.
It's the sort of livelier, younger man about town type cigar, that, isn't it?
And those have just reached. They were on a ship traveling from Cuba all around the world.
What, stopping off at various points?
Yeah. So
no.
Yeah, no. They sent because of all
So they
this.
went to Angola first.
Yeah, well, because of all this lockdown, they had to start sending off by ship, and then that was taking ages. And then the rules, changed, so then they could send it over by plane. So we got a bunch by plane, and then those ran out.
And then you get some by ship.
Yeah, the ship ones. Then they smell nicely of kind of seagulls and
Which
seaweed
are the better ones, the ship ones or the air ones?
The ship one. Edward says the ship ones will be the best.
Edward
Yeah,
knows.
yeah, no, because they'll be getting that, and
They
they'll
haven't gone up
be
and down.
undergoing the kind of maturation period on the sea as
It's
well.
like the aesthete process.
What's that?
It's something to do with making port, I believe.
It's almost exactly. I'm very familiar with that process.
Yes.
I used to do it in the bathtub at home, didn't I?
The aesthete process.
Make port in the bathtub.
Ah, yes.
Our
I
mother
remember.
used to get very angry. Why you keep making this bloody
Port.
port in the bathtub?
I remember you and Freddie were in there stamping on the grapes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Do you remember that?
Yes, happy days.
Yeah, we were
days.
very young when we were doing that. It was like it was like Victory Gin, except it was Victory Bath.
We love
Port.
Victory Gin.
Victory Bath Port. That's what we
Yes,
call it.
Victory
Bathing
Bath
port.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was a good one.
Anyway, viewer, we're fighting the virus one Corona at a time, or one Hermoso No. 2 at a time, but it doesn't really quite have the same ring to it, so we'll say we're fighting it one Corona at a time.
One Corona at a time. Yes.
Not a bad cigar, blended to the French
good.
taste.
A good cigar.
No, a good
A
cigar.
good cigar.
Or bon cigar,
Oh,
as I believe
bon.
it is.
How do they say cigar in French?
Cigar.
Cigar.
Un bon cigar. We should have
cigar.
done this in French clothes.
Yes. Well, you can speak French, can't you?
If I need to, yes.
That's good. I spent about 10 years studying it and know où est la bibliothèque. And
Well, you're not even sure if it's le or la bibliothèque either, which is
La,
not-
le.
Yeah.
Speak a bit of Latin as well.
Latin.
Canis est in horto.
Caecilius est in
Caecilius,
yes.
My dear friend Caecilius, yes. It's just like...
And
like
Rex
Latin.
Pogidubnus.
What's that?
Anyway, viewer, it's been a blast, as
Yeah,
always.
it's been
Goodbye
good.
from Snoopy.
Yeah, goodbye from the...
Goodbye from the crash helmet. Goodbye from Ed White.
Yeah, goodbye from the Bamford hub.
Yes, we might have to come back here. It's been far better than the ancestral hobble.
It is
which
good, isn't it?
Oh God,
It's a real-
It's just. I mean, it's a different world.
Yeah. The only thing is I don't
The
have
chairs.
a bathtub to make port in here.
I'm sure that could be arranged. Maybe you could tread the grapes in a basin or something like that.
Yes.
Anyway, look, thank
goodbye.
you. Fighting the virus one Corona at a
Thank you,
time.
goodbye.
Thank you, viewer.
See you later.